Hey guys, it's Nadine from Girls Love Your Curls. I hope you're all doing wonderfully well. Sorry about the lighting, it's dusk, it's starting to get dark, but I'm trying to get into a routine of doing videos, and the only time I can really film is when the kids go down. So now they're down, and I figured I would get in a frequently asked questions video. Got a lot to get through, so first of all I'm going to start with the African threading questions. I use weave thread. Now this is the thread that they use for sewing weaves, extensions, you know, to sew in the weave into people's hair, and you can get it at any hair and beauty supply. It usually comes in on a spool like this, but I was lucky enough to find a huge one. I'm so happy when I found this, and it was behind the counter. It was like I was buying something illicit, because I said, you know, do you have anything bigger? And he said, you know, pulled out a mid-sized one, and he's like, this one. I was like, oh great, wonderful. And he's like, oh, bigger. And I was like, you have bigger? He said, yes. I said, I have bigger. So then he pulls out this juggernaut. Like, this has lasted so long, so I was so pleased. But yeah, any hair and beauty supply where they sell extensions, Sally's, I mean any hair and beauty supply, they'll have weave thread. Now, I can only speak from experience, and I would have to say no. This is something that they've been using in Africa for like decades and decades, probably centuries. They've used threading. It's a technique that they use to actually protect the hair. It's a known protective style. It's known to help grow your hair. There's a YouTuber on here that actually, she grew her hair through using African threading. She would African thread her hair under wigs, and now has waist-length hair. So it definitely helps grow your hair. I can't remember her name, but I'll put it on the screen somewhere. So yeah, no, it doesn't break your hair. What can break your hair is if you braid too tightly, and that's with any braiding. That's with cornrows, that's with basic braid, you know, twists. If you braid it too tightly in the scalp, it will break your hair. So that's what it will do, just as any other braid. So you don't want to do it too tightly at the roots. But aside from that, nope, it does not harm your hair. Do I tie a knot to the actual hair, or do I tie a knot on the actual thread? Now, the answer to that is yes and no. Some people, they'll braid past their hair, loop the thread over, so their hair will end here, and then continue to braid, and they will knot on the thread. So when they're trying to remove the thread, they'll cut the thread and the hair will end here, but they'll braid further past the hair onto the thread to avoid breaking at the ends. I don't do that. I tie a knot on the hair because I've never had a problem with removing the thread. Whenever I remove the thread, there's never hairs on there. If I have one that's particularly stubborn, I'll get some oil on my fingers and just loosen it up and just pick out the hairs, you know, one by one, and it comes off. So I don't do that, but you can if you are concerned with, you know, the ends tearing off if you're not removing it properly. Then yeah, you can do it that way. I usually answer 3 ways. If you're African threading and you're finding it's coming loose at the base, make sure before you start threading with the thread that you tie a knot at the end of the thread like this. That you tie a knot and hold that knot up against your hair as you start to braid. It will act as an anchor and stop the thread from slipping as you're braiding. Also, make sure you continue to wrap around the base however many times necessary, so that when you pull at the thread, there's no slippage and you know that it's stable. So that's what I would say if it's coming loose at the base. If it's coming loose around the middle, that's usually going to be your tension, the tension. So as you're threading, you need to pull tighter as you're threading around. It's too loose. So that's the tension. If you're doing the corkscrew or looser threading, so that the threads aren't as close to each other, and you're finding it's loosened, maybe you don't have enough hair. You know, when I do single box braids, I had a tutorial actually. I might insert some of the footage here. It would just, the hair would kick up around itself because the tension of the thread, the hair isn't thick enough to deal with the tension of the thread, so the hair would bend and buckle. So you need to make sure you have enough hair in each braid. So those are the two main things that I can think of if it's coming loose in the middle. Now, if it's coming loose at the ends, this could be a couple of things also. Hair texture. I have a couple of good friends. She does amazing. She does it really well on her daughter, but her daughter's hair is more like a type 3 texture, or maybe it's basically it's a looser curl pattern, and that her hair, so there's no friction for the thread, and she said no matter how many times she knots it, it comes loose. I believe she said what she tried was ending the thread a little higher up, so instead of braiding all the way down to the very tip to where there's just a few hairs, she was stopped shy of that, and she said that that helped. Other than that, knotting it maybe 2 times or 3 times at the ends, and that usually fixes it. So I hope that answers the question. Absolutely to both. It works fantastically either way. Now, to me, this all depends on the condition of your baby's hair. So, for example, my oldest daughter, her hair was quite fine, and she kept her, what I call her baby hair, for much longer than my second daughter. So she was probably closer to 2 when I started threading, just because I could get away with just putting her hair in 1 puff or 2 puffs, or, you know, a basic braid, you know, 4 basic braids to the max. I didn't really do that much to it, and I could get away with it, and her hair wouldn't dry out. Daughter number 2, however, her hair got coarser probably around a year and a half, maybe. Yeah, probably about a year and a half. So I was able to thread earlier. She didn't really sit still as early, so that was another reason why I didn't get too much into it, because she just wasn't a sitter. But yeah, so I would say it all depends on your child's hair. So yeah, that's all, answers all the questions I believe I get for African threading. If there are any more, please leave them under this video. I hope you found this helpful. Take care. Thanks for watching. God bless. Bye bye.